The Hardys versus Team 3D in one final table 25 years later. After their first match in the tables match at the Royal Rumble 2000, they will do this one final time here at Bound for Glory. It's predictions time, ladies and gentlemen. There's a full match card to go through, as well as this. We've got the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, who will be getting themselves a future championship opportunity in TNA. We've got Tessa Blanchard going against Gia Miller. We've got the International Championship on the line. Frankie Kazarian defending against Steve Macklin. We've got Hardcore War. Intergender 10 person here. This is Order 4 versus the System. We've got the X Division Championship on the line as we start going through NXT versus TNA. The champion Leon Slater defending against Javon Evans, which feels like quite a tasty dream match if I do say so myself. We've got the Knockouts Championship on the line. NXT's Kalani Jordan holds the title going against Indy Hartwell. And last but not least, NXT's Trick Williams, Trick A, will be defending the World Championship against Mike Santana. What a tasty looking lineup that is there for Bound for Glory. NXT, welcome to the video. It's good to be talking TNA, and my first question for you is your excitement levels out of 10 for this show this weekend.
Do you know what? I'm actually quite excited for this because I think this card in general has just had a better build than probably the what was the one we just predicted yesterday? My brain's gone blank now for Crown Jewel. So I think there's a lot more excitement about it. Obviously the Hardys versus Dudleys is it's an all-time classic match, and the fact that we get to see it one more time is a pleasure. Do you know what I mean? It's something that we're going to take that in, and we're going to treasure that because it is supposed to be the last time we ever see these two teams battle it out. The Call Your Shot Gauntlet, their equivalent of the Money in the Bank. So do you know what I mean? I'm expecting some real shock appearances. Like, it's got the aspect of almost like the Royal Rumble where you're going to get mystery contenders. So there's a lot of anticipation from that. Mike Santana again building to the possibility of winning that TNA title this weekend. It's looking like it's going to be a really good show.
Absolutely. There feels like there's a lot on the line when it comes to Bound for Glory this weekend already as well. Some talents are expected that their contracts are going to expire as well after this show has been going around the rounds of social media. Cedric Alexander is the first name that's come out. He will be, his contract would have expired with TNA after this weekend. I'm interested to see some of the other names that could be after this show. But certainly my excitement levels are quite high for this show. Looking at the card, it feels quite tasty. But at least 4 or 5 of these matches I'm quite excited for. So I'm going to go for a solid 8 out of 10, which leads me to my next question to you as always. Of all the great matches we have lined up, which one are you most looking forward to?
I would be, do you know what I mean? I think I'd be grudge. It's hard to pick one because obviously I really should say the Hardys and Dudleys, but Leon Slater and Javon Evans, those two, I got a feeling they've got a contender for match of the year if they get their chemistry right.
Copy and paste answer. Look, of course, Hardys Dudleys, we've been fans of them for 25 years, all since that, first tables match at the Royal Rumble 2002, my favorite tag teams of all time. Can't wait to see them mix it up for one last time. Of course, it's probably the big talking point of this show, and it's going to get some eyeballs on it from outside of TNA's realms. However, Javon Evans versus Leon Slater, I think you're right, is probably going to be the one that's going to steal the show, and I can't help but feel it feels old school X Division vibes about it. We used to see the likes of a Styles versus Daniels, that kind of vibe in it, and I feel this match has got that potential. So yeah, really excited for that one indeed.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's dive into it then. Let's not waste any time because, like I said, many matches to look forward to. But the one that we think is going to get the most clicks for this video is the Hardys versus Team 3D. One final table. And it really is one final table because Devon Dudley, or Brother Devon, he was retired, ladies and gentlemen. He is the one that's coming back for the one-off appearance. Of course, Bully Ray has been doing his stuff singly for quite a while. And as you can see on the match graphic there, there's not one championship, there's 2 championships on the line there, TNA and NXT, as well as CD has gone down in the comments as well. So yes, this is for 2 sets of championships. It's going to be a fun time. It's going to have tables involved in it as well. Steve, how do you see this one going down?
I don't expect it to be the bells and whistles that we would have got at WrestleMania 17, I believe it was, the TLC 1 and obviously famously TLC 2, but I expect this to be, like I said, just a graceful curtain call to Devon, brother Dudley, or whatever name he goes by in TNA. Apologies, but I think it's just going to be fun. It's going to be one of those matches where the crowd know what's going to happen. They already know the chants. They already know the craziness that Jeff Hardy is willing to do. It's going to just be an old school classic tables match that we've seen so many times before, but yet we never get bored of seeing them.
Absolutely. And the thing is, these two made this match famous. And that's something that I think it really stands the test of time here. It's really, in a way, a shame that Adam Copeland and Christian Cage are in the other company at this particular moment, because it just would have been fun seeing all three of them together under one roof just for that final curtain call. But still, I really think this is going to be a great time. I'm looking forward to it. I don't think something as wild as Royal Rumble 2000. We have to set our expectations here at a certain level, but I am leaning towards the Hardys to retain here. They've just won the NXT Tag Team Championships. However, there is a part of me, and C Nation Dog's in the comments, and he put a little thought he made a very long time ago. I'm going to go to his comments to bring that up a long time ago, and just something that just makes me think as well that adds fuel to if a Team 3D win could happen would be the fact that they've never had the NXT Tag Team Championships either, and maybe it doesn't have to be for a long time either. Let's go and see what CD's got to say and see if it still matches what he said on previous comments on videos, and we'll see if we get there in the end. He says, it's too late to change my prediction, but I'm actually leaning towards the Hardys since they just won the NXT Tag Team titles. It was before Team 3D, it seemed. I think the Dark State attacked the Hardys and Team 3D after the match for revenge. Rich Swann, who wins the Call You Shot trophy earlier in the night, calls in the trophy on the Hardys, and First Class win the tag team titles. So Call Your Shot is going to be the next thing we're going to talk about. But I love the idea that a TNA team benefits off the rub of two legendary tag teams. Do you think that could be a fun fantasy booking storyline that they could do in TNA this Sunday?
I mean, I wouldn't be against them doing it. I just think that with it being supposedly Devon's last match, I'd rather them just have a normal bell-to-bell match. Not necessarily have the interference, but just, like I said, just enjoy it for what it is. I mean, look, if they want to put over some talent, sure, I'm not against them doing it. But ideally, personally, I would just like to see the Hardys and the Dudleys have one more table match.
I feel like in my head, it makes a lot of sense to try and put a new tag team over, and I think that that's a really good use of the Call Your Shot gauntlet as well. CD goes on to say here that Rich Swann hasn't been on TV since Emergence, but he's still on the roster page. He has actually made a debut appearance as well in NWA. I don't know if that's a one-off or side project, but time will tell on that one. But at the same time, I do kind of agree with you as well, because it's kind of like, well, this is two legendary teams. You're going to want to see that respect at the end of it. That moment that everyone is feeling to themselves emotional, the fact that that's it for these teams having matches together. It won't happen again after this. So I kind of lean more towards that way. If CD does get his way where someone else benefits, in my opinion, I think Team 3D should be the one winning this, because they can hold these NXT titles they've never held, one more tag team run as well with the TNA gold, and then instantly put someone else over, and the Hardys can try and get redemption on behalf of Team 3D, as there'll be the respect factor after all those years. But I'm going to say, CD, for you, if it happens, I'll be clapping all the way to the bank, but I'm just going to go for a simple Hardys win here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a Hardys win as well. Obviously, the just winning the NXT titles kind of makes it a bit more obvious. I think if they hadn't won them, this would have been more of a 50-50 split. But yeah, I'd say Hardys as well.
Should be a lot of fun. We're really looking forward to it. And it's going to be all the nostalgia, all the feels when it comes to that one indeed. Onto the comments then once again. CHS says, obviously, that cash-in is after the match, not during. Absolutely. That's, I think, a given. And that would be a good way to do it as well. And of course, yes, First Class would get a lot of heel heat as well. Ray and House Ray, thank you for joining us, as I'm looking forward to seeing Mike Santana win the TNA title and Indy Hartwell winning the Knockouts titles. For me, personally, It's an interesting theory. We'll see if we agree towards the end of the video. Those will be the last two matches we'll be talking about on the stream today. CD says the Dudleys would have to vacate the NXT tag team titles still because I only see First Class cashing on the TNA tag team titles. That's a very good point indeed. And probably strengthens the argument that the Hardys should win this regardless of what happens. So yeah, Hardys all the way. And let's move on in the meantime to our next match that we'll be discussing. And hey, CD's give his prediction, but who's going to win the Call Your Shot Gauntlet? That's going to be interesting. 20. So the rules for this match is kind of interesting. It is 20 TNA wrestlers, 2 start in the match, and then every minute another one enters, and then we see people eliminated over the top rope to the floor, both feet having to hit the floor. So it's kind of like a Royal Rumble match. But then when you get down to the final 2, it becomes a regular singles match. For those old school WWE fans in the house, think about the time that Razor and Ted DiBiase fought for the IC title. They were the final 2 in the Battle Royal, had a match, and then determined the champion. It's kind of a similar kind of vibe, and I like it. It's TNA's way of doing this. And obviously, the winner of this one wins the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. It means they can call for a championship opportunity whenever they please. And of course, that means they can go for what we understand, any TNA championship. Although you did suggest a good fun idea, Nick Steve, off camera. Who's to say that they couldn't call and cash this in with the relationship we do have with NXT on an NXT title?
I mean, at some point, someone like we're gonna get some sort of crossover with the NXT roster. Like we get their titles on at TNA now. Who's to say that they can't call it in? Because you're technically on the TNA brand. Yeah, without reading the fine print of a contract, it might say a TNA championship, but who's not to say you can't just call it in for a title shot at any point on TNA? So it could be a case of the North American champion, Ethan Page, for some reason makes an appearance on TNA one weekend, and all of a sudden, whoever wins the Call Your Shot Gauntlet cashes in on Ethan Page. So who knows? But I think it's a fun way of making it a bit more open, I would suppose, and it makes it a bit more case of it's kind of like the Money in the Bank briefcase where it can be cashed in on any championship on any show. So I think it's not a bad suggestion. Will they do it? Probably not. But the idea of it is fun.
Certainly is fun indeed. And we know 3 people are going to be in the match so far.
Unless an NXT star wins it, then it is a possibility it will happen on NXT.
There is that possibility as well. And of course, I imagine we know some NXT are already in house, but how many more will be there is the big question. But so we know 3 names that are going to be in this Call Your Shot Gauntlet. So we know the first 2 in this match are going to be Li Ying Lee, of course, formerly known as Xia Li in WWE. David Bryant is number 2. So we know we've got some intergender wrestling to kick things off. And the number 20 is Mance Varner. Just to give a name of some people on the TNA roster that are not seemingly scheduled anywhere else, it seems, on Bound for Glory. Matt Cardona comes to mind. Joe Hendry also comes to mind. Nick Nemeth is not listed, neither is Ryan Nemeth. So there is quite a few people. Obviously, the Rascals as well. Zachary Wentz could be someone that could be involved in this match. And like you said, there's probably going to be some knockouts in this, and there's probably also going to be probably some NXT stars that are going to be involved in this one as well. So this one is picking a name out of a hat, NXT. How do you see it going?
I mean, it's like calling a Royal Rumble, really. It could be anyone. I mean, I honestly, I think if I was booking it, I'd love to see someone like Zachary Wentz win it. I think that he's been on this singles run in TNA now for a bit, and I think like because it's any championship, I think it's a good opportunity to give someone like him an opportunity to be a single star, even though he is obviously part of the Rascals or even the tag team titles. Having hit someone like him win it, I think, is just huge in development of him as a character, as a person. Do I think he'll win it realistically? Probably not. If I was to pick someone off the TNA roster, like you've just said, for me personally, I'd go with Matt Cardona. I think the fact that the guy is, do you know what I mean? He's well traveled. Like he goes to many different shows. I think if you put a TNA title on him and you send him off to GCW, whatever, like he's almost like free publicity going around the territories. So that wouldn't be a bad shout. But then again,
I lost you on that last bit there, Nick Steve. Unfortunately, I have to ask you again. And you've gone on mute as well. Hold on.
There we go. Sorry.
Oh,
I wouldn't be against someone like Miles Bourne from NXT coming in and winning it as well. I think that he is on an upward trajectory as well, and he's someone who could probably be benefit from a singles run with a title.
I like that, especially if you're going to look with the NXT partnership. I do think both Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights, now they've gone as single stars, could benefit with going back to TNA and having a bit of a rub whilst working with the TNA locker room. But I do hope it's going to be a TNA person that wins
I
this.
hope so as well.
Um, for the sakes of CD as well, saying he did say earlier on that he did believe then that Rich Swann would win this. AJ Francis could be someone that could win this as well and bring
Good
Rich
shout
Swann
too.
back as a surprise. Maybe could be an instant thing. I know there was issues with Casey Navarro early in the year, so that's not going to be a possibility at this point. But see, they does say here you can see AJ Francis winning it as well there, also as a potential. But yeah, it's hard for me to look past Joe Hendry. I know that like the guy is someone that could be on his way out soon from TNA wrestling at this particular time, but I think that also could make things quite interesting because I like this idea of the tease of will you use it for TNA? Will you use it for NXT? I don't know. It just seems like it could be a fun thing, and I feel that a lot of question marks are on Joe Hendry right now. So I think it just keeps people guessing if he was to win it. So feels like an obvious pick, perhaps too obvious pick, but I'm going to go for Joe Hendry.
Yeah, the only problem is like the cash in, like if he does it against Mike, because obviously the problem with Joe Hendry is he's ultimately a world title person. He's obviously going to cash it in for a world title. So if, for example, Santana wins, Ricky Saints has just won the NXT title. That's the only problem is I don't think realistically he could win. Again, it goes back to being like kind of like the Money in the Bank contract. It's really a heel opportunistic thing. So I don't know if Joe Hendry would be the right person. And like I said, because those other two have just won their titles, I feel like it'd just be a failed cash in. It would almost be a waste of the idea of the Call Your Shot Gauntlet.
Fair, fair. What I'm going to say in the counteract of that is that TNA felt they couldn't trust Joe Hendry to put him on the team
True.
this past week, and however babyface you are, that may lead to a couple of heel tendencies. And I just wonder if on the way out, because we're assuming Joe Hendry is going to join NXT or WWE full time at the start of 2026. And if that and when that inevitably happens, you just feel to yourself a little bit, how is Joe Hendry going to be on the way out? How is he going to be perceived by the fan base? Are the fan base going to turn? Is he going to give them a reason to? Could be a case as well, like, you know, he may feel no, he's being pushed out of TNA because of the fact that actually they're not picking him for this sort of stuff in kayfabe storyline terms. So I don't know, there's some stuff you can play with on that. And just say, for example, and I'm now playing real, you know, fantasy booking storyline telling you, but say Mike Santana doesn't get the job done. Maybe Joe Hendry does at the end of the show, and he's the one that
True.
wins the
Yeah, that's a
title
good point.
back. And then Joe Hendry drops the title to Mike Santana at the end of the year, or perhaps maybe Hard to Kill Genesis, whatever the January show is these days. It could be something like that as well. So that there are different ways and means that it could be gone about. But I'm going to throw a question out from Sid here, and I don't think he's actually asked this question based on this, but he's asked, "Will AJ Styles show up at Bound for Glory?" Imagine if AJ Styles turned up in the Your Shot Gauntlet.
Do you know what? I would love it. I would pop hard because I would want him to. I still want him to have one more match for that TNA World Title, and I think even if it's in a losing effort against someone like a Mike Santana, that's massive for Mike Santana to get a win over AJ Styles. But it wouldn't be me unless I said this person's name. Where's Obafemi? Why can't Obafemi come in and win this?
Let's not do that. That's not fair. That's not fair. No. Poor TNA. we can't unleash Oba there. No, he's just dominated NXT for the last year and a half. He needs a Raw or a SmackDown. But hey, we've had a bit of fun with the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. Let's go into it now and see what the comments are saying. And CD has said now he's sticking with his original prediction, Dudley's for the last match. He said, I'm not changing that prediction. He said, this is TNA's WrestleMania. Let TNA guys win every match. Fair comment indeed. He's gone on safe and Rich Swann winning, that Myron Reed will beat the other person in the finals.
That's a great shout.
And he's a great shout indeed. Sid has said we will see 3 live crew return to TNA Bound for Glory. Of course, that is Ron Killian's Conan and, of course, Road Dogg. That would be a fun little cameo, seeing all those 3 there under the roof one more time, especially now that they are all kind of involved with WWE in some way. You could actually make that a possibility.
Yeah, I suppose, but I think Conan's a little bit past ring ready, unfortunately.
I think, well, to be fair, I think so is Road Dogg, to be honest, at this point, but it still could be quite fun anyway. Rhino cashed in his corner shot gauntlet for the tag team titles with Violent by Design in the past, so it has been done, and that is a good, fun,
Good
fat
job.
CD. I remember watching that play out back in the day.
This is why I like TNAs, because they do stuff like this. They don't automatically make it for world titles. They use it for stuff like tag team titles, which is why I've always got a soft spot for TNA when they come to their creative.
And me too, me too. They are a very underrated company when it comes to that kind of thing. We'll move on though to our next match. We might be a bit rapid with a few of these next ones. Tessa Blanchard versus Gia Miller. Now, this one actually started at Slammiversary. And do you remember that Tessa actually struck Gia Miller and got herself suspended for quite a while? Yeah, we've got a match between these two now at Bound for Glory. But technically, it is arguably one of the best wrestlers in the Knockouts division against a ring announcer. I know that sometimes you have that shock moment, and I'm going to use a WWE reference. So apologies, TNA fans, but this past week on Monday Night Raw, Maxine Dupree actually beat Becky Lynch. I know sometimes there is that shock factor that can happen, but I can't look past Tessa Blanchard winning this match.
No, I think if anything, this is more of a precipice for the Battle Royal on NXT next week. I think if Tessa Blanchard picks up this win, she goes into the Battle Royal on NXT looking like a favorite to win the number one contenders for the NXT Women's Championship. So I think it almost just makes TNA look stronger in terms of competitiveness, but then I think as well they can also use it towards going up against Kalani Jordan for the TNA Knockouts Championship.
Absolutely. I think we'll get a very game Gia Miller, though. I do think she'll have a good performance. I'm expecting something there, but yeah, at the same time, you just can't look past it, and neither can CD either. Look, Tessa Blanchard wins there, so there you go. It gives you an answer for that one. But just quickly, you mentioned that there, Tessa Blanchard on NXT. That NXT crowd are not going to be subtle. TNA crowds have not been subtle with Tessa either. Not really wanting to get into that conversation. It's usually a bit of an awkward one. But can you see it happening?
I mean, it's a hard one because obviously she has history. You can always pipe in the audio, but then again, that NXT crowd is like, if you've watched NXT from last night, they were ruthless on Ethan Page's entrance. Like, that kind of might be my new favorite entrance now, with them calling him a-hole. Tessa probably will get it in the stick, but look, TNA are going to stick with that. It's on the same levels as WWE bringing back Brock Lesnar, really. Someone who is very highly controversial. So TNA obviously have faith in her and feel like she can help carry on their Knockouts division being quite successful. So I wouldn't see why not, but then again, I suppose WWE. Well, no, because they've just brought Brock back. I was going to say they usually avoid controversy, but it's NXT. Let's be honest. Not a lot of people watch NXT. I'm sure they'll get away with it.
Eric Bischoff once said, "Controversy creates cash." So
very true.
We'll leave that one there. We're going to move on in the meantime. Actually, before we do, CD asks a question here. Do you ever see Tessa Blanchard being a world champion ever again? Male or female championship? She's held both in TNA. First ever female to win the women's heavyweight title.
Yeah, because it was a big deal when she won it as well. Because like she was like hottest prospect in women's wrestling, like being like the world champion in TNA. I think she will be. She has major heel heat. She's going to be a heel for the rest of her career now. And like, if you have ultimately a baby face that you want to get over in a big way, you put a championship on Tessa, and then at some point you let that baby face beat Tessa for that title, and it's how they will build future baby face female wrestlers.
100% agree. I don't need to add much more, if any, to that. I do see it happening, yes. Paul hopes that we see the hometown man has a match at Bound for Glory. I expect the hometown man will be involved in the Corner Shot Gauntlet, which we mentioned earlier on. I reckon get a nice little cameo. Wonder who that guy is. We'll ask Eric Young. But in the meantime, we will move on for our next match. It's going to be for the International Championship. Frankie Kazarian going to be taking on former champion Steve Macklin. These two are going to be going at it once again. Not so much for you in storyline context to give you on this one from myself personally, so I'm immediately just going to go for a prediction for you.
Go for it. I'm probably just gonna say Frankie retains. I think like I don't know. It's just one of them ones, but I think like I'll stick with the champion because Frankie's obviously I don't know. Like it's really hard to tell who the heel is with these two either because they always seem to chop and change with their character dynamics recently. So, but I'm going to stick with the champion and say Frankie retains.
Yeah, I think Frankie's the heel at this particular time. Sadie, correct me if I'm wrong. Trying to stick my neck out on this one, but yeah, I am going to say that I think Kazarian is going to actually retain as well on this one. Macklin was the inaugural champion. I don't think he needs to win it back at this particular time. And yeah, I think it's good for Frankie because he was being pushed at one point and groomed to be a big deal in TNA. And I think they wanted to push him towards the main event scene. A title like this is going to push him in the right direction. So yeah. I think for me it's looking that way.
Yeah, I think this is like his first title defense as well. So again, like since winning it, so I ultimately think that he will retain. So, yeah, again, I can't see another reason why like same reason why you can't see the Hardys losing the NXT titles because they just won them.
Exactly. And Frankie is the heel. CD has confirmed it for
Yeah.
us there. He's also going to say, I think we're getting Nick Nemeth versus Matt Cardona for Bound for Glory. It was not on the TNA page, or nor was it also on the Wikipedia page looking earlier on, but doesn't mean it can't be added last minute. If we do get that match, who's your pick?
I'd have to say Nemeth just because Nemeth is I don't know. Is Cardona actually contractually signed for TNA? I know he's on the roster page, but that don't really mean a lot of things with Matt Cardona. I'd probably say Nick Nemeth gets the win.
I think he is contracted to them in some way, but he still does all his other stuff on the weekends, not doing tapings. But yeah, Nemeth is my pick as well. Nemeth is one of the big names in TNA right now. So I don't see it any other way.
Yep.
That's the way we're going to go for it. Next question that's come in for us now, which is from Paul. Asks us, who is your favorite TNA women's and men's wrestlers right now? I'm guessing excluding all your favorite NXT stars holding the titles.
TNA men's, I would have to go with Leon Slater. I just think he's just a really exciting talent to watch, and watching him win that X Division championship and then obviously getting the AJ rub was just fantastic. Women, I mean, look, they're not exactly having the best of run at the minute. The fact that the TNA Knockouts Championship is on an NXT star, so I feel it's probably the one division they're not really underwhelming in, but I think it's something that needs to be worked on maybe in the next couple of months to try and rebuild it to the level that it was when you've just come off of like Jordan Grace and stuff. I think in terms of probably character and presentation, I'd have to say Rosemary. Rosemary is obviously an OG and like she's been there forever, so I would say Rosemary's probably my favorite at the minute.
Very good shout of Rosemary. I'm just trying to refresh some of my names here in my head when it comes to the TNA Knockouts division at this particular time. But yeah, I mean, obviously with the guys, I'm gonna say Jeff Hardy just because of the fact that nostalgia, Hardy Boy is a big fanboy of all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Leon Slater's got a very bright future indeed. But I think judging on the knockouts, I'll tell you who I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of Tasha Steelz. I feel that she's done some excellent work in her TNA run. Obviously, she's now currently part of the Order 4 group at the moment, Mustafa Ali. So yeah, she's doing some good work as well there. So yeah, I'm going to give a shout to her.
I just think like they haven't given her much of a run in like the last year. She's kind of just been a bit part for someone else's story, which is criminal because a couple of years ago she was dominating that knockouts division. I think it's probably right. She probably just needs more elevating and more creative. But yeah, she did have a really good run a couple of years ago.
Yeah, well, must be some sort of agreement for tapings for Cardona then, because he seems to be at all the tapings. But yeah, he's a free agent still. He's not actually signed to TNA in any way, I guess. But there you go. And see, this is if First Class do win the tag titles, he'll do a reactions video to it. Do that, CD. We want to see it. If you enjoyed the video so far, make sure to hit the like button. We need some love on the TNA videos. So come on, there's a few of you watching right now. There's no excuse if you're watching to not hit that like button. If you're watching on delay and you're this far in, oh, come on, you must be liking it. Hit the like button, please. do give some support to the channel. It really does go a long way in helping us massively. We mentioned Tasha Steeles. I think we mentioned Mustafa Ali recently as well. Let's go into Hardcore War. We have got Order 4 versus the System. This has been going on for quite a while now. War was declared on the System from Mustafa Ali. And of course, Santino Marella had enough with all this brawling that be going on between the two sides and made this hardcore intergender match here for Bound for Glory. How do you see it playing out?
Honestly, I'm going to go with Order 4 just because I think Mustafa Ali he's on that precipice. Like, if you've just watched NXT last night, and he had the best match of the night with Ethan Page. And for me, that guy should be a world champion somewhere. And TNA is ideal for him. Like, a roster of very talent. He is probably one of the best wrestlers on the roster. And you could tell that when he wrestles. And I think for me, I want to see that guy get into the main event scene. Now, for me, I think Order 4 has to win this. And then we have to start working our way to getting towards Mustafa Ali versus like Mike Santana or whoever in that main event scene.
Yeah, I would not be against seeing that at all. See this as it's going for the System to win. It's weird to see them as baby faces. James saying the same as they're baby faces now, and it is weird because they were the top heel faction for such a long time in TNA, and now they've made that transition over. But for me, I look at the star power, and I just look at we've got Moose in the System. I can't look past that. Eddie Edwards is there as well, so I'm going to go for the System to pick up the win. Personally, for me, I do love your take of Mustafa Ali getting pushed to be the guy in TNA. It's a shame, actually. Maybe this match could go on first, and the Call Your Shot Gauntlet could go on later on the night. He could do double duty because I'd love to see him walking around with that.
I love it.
It would be amazing. Actually, people agreeing with your call, by the way, as well. Mustafa Ali to have the world title off Mike Santana and Rebellion 2026. They have a lot of history as well, which I remember their matches previously. They were very good. They had one, I think, at Genesis at the start of the year. Correct me if I'm wrong. CD, which was quite a violent one. And they could definitely do that again. I would not be against it.
Honestly, like I said, watching that match last night with Ethan Page just reminded me of how good Mustafa Ali is. Like, his work rate, his selling, phenomenal.
Just there's some moments in that match with Ethan Page was just incredible. I mean, we talked about it before going there, but literally when he went flying like straight into the second turnbuckle, like at pace, was really amazing. The dive through the ropes going over the announcers table, almost taking Vic Joseph out swiftly, and just the finish of the match with Ethan Page. I've never seen that in wrestling before. It's hard to do something that's so creative and so new that you've never seen it before at this stage of the game. So to do that was fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was booked perfectly for Ali to take the loss, and it's very hard to do that in wrestling.
So their match actually was at Rebellion. Mike Santana and Mustafa Ali, apparently not a Genesis. So my apologies. They also had the match at Sacrifice. There you are. So they have been wrestling quite a bit this year. Do we see any surprises showing up at Bound for Glory? Asked James.
Over for me. There's going to be some NXT stars in there somewhere. An AJ Styles is the most ideal one, really. I think there's going to be one or two in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, but nothing that's going to be like, oh my god, high profile. I think there'll just be like a couple of, maybe one or two nostalgia acts, a couple of NXT stars.
Yeah, you're probably on the shout. That's where they tend to throw those type of people into these matches.
Rhino, probably.
Yeah, Rhino is a good shout. That would be something you could see happen. I'd like to try and be creative and try and think of one or two fun ones that I think could still be about. That would be fun. Do you know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see James Storm make a return.
Oh yeah, I would love that as well. That'd be a great shout. Or Nick Aldis. Put Nick Aldis back in there and get him back in the ring.
Just a British invasion. Shane Douglas Williams isn't wrestling anymore. That would be fantastic. But there you are. Speaking of Nick Aldis, of course, he's in WWE right now, and the final matches that we have to talk about on the main show are all NXT versus TNA. So let's start off then with what we declared as the dream match. I think this is, dare I say, a match that many people are looking forward to seeing. The X Division Championship on the line, Leon Slater versus Javon Evans. Slater's had that title now, I believe, since Slammiversary. There's been a great champion since then. And Javon Evans, of course, was given the shot after a conversation with Santino Marella and Ava. Of course, that was announced, I believe, at Victory Road. So, yeah. How do you see it playing out? Do you see Javon Evans potentially being an X Division champion? Do you think Slater is going to get a big dub for TNA here?
I still think Slater will retain. I think that um, he that's his title at the minute. I know he's had it for. I'm just trying to look back now because I'm trying to remember when he actually won it. So he won it. Where did he win it? Give me 2 seconds. I'm just trying to find the bloody match now. So he beat
It was
Moose at
Moose.
Slammiversary, which was July. Yeah. So yeah, he's had it for a while now. He's had loads of title defenses, but honestly, this is one title that I kind of think TNA should be holding on to because Leon Slater is honestly he is their equivalent of Javon Evans. He is their next big star, man. And I ultimately he's probably going to go to NXT in the future, but this is one that TNA needs to keep hold of, needs to keep a title on him. As much as Javon Evans needs a North American title, an NXT title, whatever, I just think Leon Slater needs this win more and needs to keep hold of that title more. But I'm telling you now, this will be match of the night, and like I said, one of the contenders for match of the year I can see happening.
I am looking forward to seeing Dave Meltzer rate this a 5-star or something very close to it. I think it's going to be a phenomenal match between the two.
It's going to be bouncy.
Yeah. It'd be I'll keep him on the floor. I think in this one, it's going to be a proper bouncy affair. But I would not be surprised to see Javon Evans win, just purely because of the fact he's not someone that's won a title yet in NXT, and it's a good way to have him have a title. And he's probably one of the few people in NXT right now I think could make it work. But at the same time, Leon State, like you say, he's the next big thing in TNA. They know they've got something special, someone special, a star here. I think it makes sense for Slater to retain here. I don't think they're going to push him straight to main event status if he was to lose here anyway. So, in my opinion, you might as well keep the title on him here for this moment.
I would like to see Slater. I don't know if they still do it, but like cash in the X Division Championship for a shot at the TNA World Title. If they want to make that kid a big star, that's really what they need to do with him. If they still do it.
Option C, I believe they still do.
Option
Do you know
C,
what the one thing that made me worried last night of this prediction? Because I was the whole time Leon Slater's winning. Leon Slater's winning. Leon Slater pinned Javon Evans on NXT last night and gloated after the pin, and I was like, I wonder if Javon's winning. I wonder, but I'm still sticking with Slater.
Do you know what? You say that now, and I think this has got the potential to have a screwy finish, which I think will completely ruin the rest of the match. And I really hate the idea of a screwy finish because I'd like to see one of these two win clean.
Yeah, I hope it's a clean win as well. But we're both going for Slater.
Yeah.
Let's go for Slater. Let's see what our comments have got to say. Yes, they still do option C, which is good to see. James thinks that Slater will win. CD also thinks that Slater will win as well because no NXT guys can win at TNA's WrestleMania. Like he said there, NXT guys. Didn't say anything about Kalani Jordan. We'll wait till we get to the next match. I think Javon Evans is on the main roster now. Is that correct? Not officially. On SmackDown last week, Nick Aldis said we should keep in touch. He has been wrestling on SmackDown for the last 2 weeks. I think he's going to start getting the Carmelo Hayes treatment of a couple of years ago, appearing on the show more frequently before the inevitable call-up.
That's not a good thing. Carmelo Hayes has been waiting a year to actually have a run on TV. So yeah, let's not refer to it as the Carmelo Hayes treatment.
Well, I hope once he gets up there, it'll be better. But I mean, Carmelo Hayes needs a move to Raw ASAP. But I think Javon Evans so far in his showings on SmackDown has been very, very good. Yeah, I mean, Javon Evans is quickly becoming one of my favorite wrestlers right now to watch in general because he's just unbelievable in ring.
Yeah, even if he does want to take out the cameraman.
Absolutely. CD has corrected himself and said, no, guys, all gals can win at TNA's WrestleMania. So there you are. Kalani is screwed when it comes to CD's prediction of the next match. James asked, have you met any wrestlers? He met Bailey in UK and Smiths in London. Amazing.
No, I went to a Rev Pro show many years ago and was in the vicinity of a load of New Japan stars, but I've never actually out and out met anyone, no.
I've never actually out and out met anyone either, so unfortunately the answer's no on that one.
Yeah,
But
like
never say never.
the Rev Pro shows, like they tend to like have just like signing opportunities with the New Japan guys. This was like many, many, many years ago. So like you could just avidly walk up to these guys and pay and have a photo taken with them. And I, because it was like I said, memory like a sieve. So I can't exactly remember who was out. Like Kushida was there, a couple other guys because it was like a best of is like a J Cup tournament or something, and you had like Marty Skrull, Will Ospreay, Kushida. Yeah, it was good, man. But yeah, I just never honestly had the opportunity to meet anyone.
No, no, it sounds a shame, but maybe at some point in the future, you never know. Could just happen to bump into your favorite WWE superstar or TNA. You never know. But CD says, of course, any X Division champion can use Option C anytime they want to. Used to just be exclusive to the Destination X pay per view, which I don't believe I've seen Destination X on the calendar for a little while. Is it still there,
Can't say I've
CD?
seen it.
I don't think I've seen it for a while, but they should bring it back. I used to like that show. Anyway, we're going to move on in the meantime then. We know CD's prediction for this one, but what's ours going to be? Kalani Jordan, the new Knockouts champion, winning the title at Victory Road, going to be taking on the rightful number one contender, Indy Hartwell. Yeah, this should be a fun one. I'm looking forward to it. Kalani Jordan had a very impressive showing. Was the last one standing on NXT Showdown for Team TNA. Of course, and then she did end up on the losing effort in the end to JC Jane and Sol Ruka. But yeah, is she a transitional champion? I think is the big question here. Is this TNA's biggest show of the year, and they are going to win all the belts back?
Probably not. And I say that I'd like it's either a case of look, Indy Hartwell wins this one or Mike Santana wins the men's one. It's one or the other. I don't think it's a case of I forget the WrestleMania now with Kofi Mania where we had Kofi win, we had Becky win, and with Seth beating Brock. Do you know what I mean? We didn't. No one was expecting to get all three, and I don't. I think that's the same here. We're not expecting Indy and Mike Santana to win, and you have to be realistic and pick one or the other. This might spoil my prediction for the main match. No, in fact, actually, no. Do you know what? I am going to say Indy Hartwell wins this because Indy Hartwell deserves to be Knockouts champion. Like, why you'd put it on Kalani is just a dumb WWE power move because she isn't a TNA wrestler. Indy Hartwell should have won this in the first place. So, do you know what? I'm just going to say Indy Hartwell wins.
I'm really torn on this match. Because obviously this was Ash by Elegance as champion, and she's had to vacate, and looks like, if true, she's not returning to the ring ever again, which is really sad. Wish her all the very best moving forward. But yeah, you imagine what would have happened if it had been Ash versus Indy. I mean, CD's actually thrown a comment in here, actually saying that Kalani is just stepping in the place, and that maybe that Indy was always going to win it. That's pretty much it, really. Jordan was just a backup plan. Not nice for Jordan if that's the case. James is saying Indy win as well. You're saying Indy win. I was actually going to stand at my neck out and say Kalani Jordan because I actually saw the stuff with Jordan Grace. I can't see Grace costing her the title this Sunday. Would be quite fun though, as she's seen as a TNA legend now, Jordan Grace. But I don't know. This is the match I'm most torn on. I'm not going to lie, the entire show.
Yeah, I mean, logically, like I said, Kalani's just won it. She should retain it. But Indy deserves it. And do you know what? The last time I predicted Indy Hartwell was going to win a title, she won the NXT Women's title in a ladder match. And it was, do you know what? It was an off the cuff guess because I had no clue, but I wanted Indy to win it. And I'm going to go again, and I'm going to say Indy's going to win it because I want Indy to win it.
I'm going to inner channel that TNA wins their titles back. Not necessarily all of them, but I think it's a good omen if Slater can retain the title, if Indy can win the Knockouts title, to then ask the question, but what about Mike Santana? Can he then bring that title back? Because so far it's been going well for TNA. Will he fall at the last hurdle? So I actually think that Indy actually might make the most sense.
You're telling a story within the pay-per-view. That's what they should be doing.
Yep. So yeah, decision made. Indy Hartwell. I'm joining you all.
Love
There
it.
you are.
Love it.
CD says WrestleMania 35. We've got all the feel good
That's the one.
moments in all the world title matches. That was the one indeed. And when Indy did win the title for the NXT one, was not expected. It was not, unless your name was NXT Steve.
Indeed.
There you are.
I do it every
Let's
once
go
in a
then.
while, man. I just pull out the bag. Like, what was the one I got last week? That Chris Statlander winning the AEW Women's Championship. I predicted it because I was like, I want Statlander to win it, and it happened. So I have a track record of being right with some of these.
I like it. I like it. And to be fair, no one else I knew predicted Chris Statlander to win that at the time. So yeah, fair play to you.
I'll take it.
I'll take it indeed. But will you get this one correct? This is the main event of the show, ladies and gentlemen. It is TNA versus NXT. Trick Williams against Mike Santana for the TNA World Championship. This one has been pretty much going on since Trick won the gold. Mike Santana was the first challenger. It's been going backwards and forwards. We even had, I believe it was at Slammiversary, Trick, Mike Santana, and Joe Hendry in a freeway. We've finally got ourselves here now where Mike Santana's got the true one-on-one match here at TNA's biggest show of the year. Is this the show that TNA get their world title back? Because to be fair, NXT has been dominating when it comes to holding TNA titles. At some point, it needs to be the right time, surely, for TNA to win all these titles back.
Yep, and the biggest spoiler for this was last night where Trick Williams walked away and left Ricky Saints on his own in that match, and ultimately ended up costing NXT the win. And I think Ricky Saints is going to get he's going to help Trick, he's going to say basically cost Trick that title, and Santana will win it because WWE are stubborn and they don't want Trick to lose clean, and they'll want him to lose via a screwy finish. And I think Ricky Saints will help Mike Santana win that TNA World title.
I'm going to start a Mexican wave like we saw in the Survivor Series matches yesterday because
There
I think that's on the money. I think that's generally how it's going to go.
Yeah.
That builds then Ricky Saints versus Trick Williams for Halloween Havoc, which of course Ava won't want to book, but yeah, Saints wants the revenge, so he's the one that books the match. So it just kind of it makes sense. And then TNA get their world title back as well. And yes, Santana is ready to fly the flag for TNA. He's been incredible since his return to the company. He's had some great matches along the way as well. We talked about Mustafa Ali, of course, earlier in this video as well, with their matches and their chemistry. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the idea of Mike Santana, TNA World Champion, a man that truly has believed in himself since he went as a single star, breaking away from the long-term tag team partnership he had with Ortiz in AEW, of course, and of course previously in TNA, of course, Impact Wrestling at that time period. So it will be great to see Mike Santana be validated and hold a world title.
If Eddie Kingston wasn't in AEW, I'd have loved to have seen Eddie Kingston come back as well and been like an opponent for Santana for that TNA title.
That would be quite fun. That would have been a lot of fun.
That's a good throwback as well.
Yeah, that goes back to like the 2018 days, doesn't it?
Didn't they murder someone at that point as well during that run in TNA? I'm sure there was a storyline where they ended up murdering someone.
TNA were famous for killing people off. Ali the Bunny was killed off as well at one point, wasn't she? In the Undead Realm.
I've just had a good idea for who could be in the gauntlet match, the Call Your Shot gauntlet match.
Go on.
Killer Cross could come back to TNA.
Oh, could you imagine?
I would love that. That
would be epic.
I'm just going back to previous TNA stories, and I went, "Oh, hang on a minute, Cross used to be there. Why haven't I guessed Killer Cross as a return?"
I mean, I've not listened to the interview yet, but Scarlett did say with Killer Cross that if they went to AEW, they would go to AEW for life. I don't know how that necessarily works. If that's a come and get me kind of plea, but
But the thing is like TNA are doing short-term contracts at the minute. Cedric Alexander has just had a short-term contract, so there's no reason why they can't bring Cross in for 3 months, have him do a run as TNA, or just have him be an opponent for Santana. Do you know what I mean? I think that'd be great.
Would love it. I think it would work really, really well, especially for their like big shows that they have in 3 months' time. I
Yeah.
believe Genesis is the next one. So yeah, that would be yeah, I'd be all over that. I would be really a fan of that idea. That's really something special. But yeah, we're going for Santana, aren't we, to win here?
We are. Yeah, indeed.
I think it no surprise to everyone. That's exactly what the comments I think have gone with as well. So yeah, Santana wins the title because he failed at Slammiversary. Trick is going to set his sights back on the NXT Championship. Doesn't have the time for the TNA Championship anymore. Fun fact as well. Of course, Santana Ortiz, they were 4-time TNA Tag Team Champions. And yes, they did murder someone that storyline. Like I said, TNA is famous for it. CD also heard that I heard that the Killer Cross last exit from TNA ended on bad terms. That might just be a rumor. No, that was a rumor. I'd heard that rumor as well. But TNA's changed a bit since Killer Cross was last there, so I wouldn't say it's
Creative and companies
impossible.
being run by different people now. So yeah, anything can happen.
Absolutely, absolutely, indeed. Never say never in professional wrestling. So a couple more things just before we wrap things up today, because there is one match that's on the Wikipedia page that is not on TNA's site. I'm assuming it will be added late. We have got the Inspiration defending the Knockouts Tag Team Championships against the Elegance brand. I'm guessing this is going to be on the pre-show. I'm not going to waste any time because the Inspiration have just won these titles recently on tapings from the Elegance brand. I imagine they're going to retain.
Yeah, I imagine they would. I wouldn't be shocked if the Elegance brand won them back. I like maybe they just put them titles on the Inspiration purely for the Showdown TV special, and then they go back to the Elegance brand. But yeah, I would imagine the Inspiration retain.
Feels like that indeed. And of course, TNA as well will have their Hall of Fame ceremony as well. Just for those that are wondering of the people going in, we've got Mickey James that's going to be involved on this. And of course, as well, we have got the beautiful people will be going in, Angelina Love and Velvet Sky. All have done amazing work for TNA, particularly during my early start of my fandom, which of course was around the 2010 era. Great excuse to hear Hardcore Country one more time. Yeah, all very much worthy of being in Hall of Fame. Multi-time knockout champions, all three of them.
Yeah, I still love the Royal Rumble entrance of Mickey James with the Hardcore Country song. I think it's so good.
Absolutely, absolutely indeed. All worthy of it. Looking forward to hearing the speeches. And yeah, I do enjoy the TNA Hall of Fame. And I think there's some very good selections to go in the Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic stuff indeed. And let's go into the comments one last time. Hold on. Spoilers say this might have got confirmed for this show, and it will be announced tomorrow. There you are. So there you are. We may get the Inspiration and Elegance brand announced tomorrow. But yeah, CD's got one more final theory, and then we'll close things off. Says Elegance brand gimmick might quietly disband after Bound for Glory. I think you could be right, but then I do think perhaps maybe they could still continue in the meantime. They've got a gimmick, they've got people working to split them up and do something completely different with all of them. May get them lost in the shuffle as well, but at the same time, you could be very much onto something because without the leader, it could go and fade away.
I'd like to think they'd keep them together a bit longer. Just, and if anything, build a story about their split, just so that way you can build either Maggie Lee or apologies, I forget the other one because I have a brain like a sieve. I'm forgetting it now. But yeah, just basically get a split storyline out of it, build one of them up as a heel, one of them up as a face, and go from there, really. And hopefully, just like I said, build that knockouts division a bit more in terms of singles compares.
Certainly, indeed. Well, NXT, I want to give a massive thank you to you for joining us on this stream. It's been great to be talking about TNA Bound for Glory. Yeah, it should be an excellent show from start to finish. Really excited for it. There's about 4 or 5 matches in particular I'm really looking forward to. If you've enjoyed the video, hit the like button, share with a friend, subscribe as well. Massive thank you to everyone that's been involved in the video. You know, from James to C Nation Dog. We've had Paul in the house as well. We've even had Sid comment on here and Ray as well. So plenty of people have been getting involved on the video. Thank you all very much for your comments, and hope you all enjoyed the show. If you've not seen WWE Crown Jewel predictions, those are available for you right now. We're going deep diving into some fantasy booking as well. So it's definitely a fun podcast to listen to. Enjoy it, Bound for Glory, and we'll be back with a video for you at some point towards the end of the week, if not the start of next week. Take care, look after yourselves and each other, and we'll see you for the next one. Peace.